Hello, Shemai. Welcome to my wild Welsh garden. Well, they say that gardening is good for your mental well-being and mental health, don't they? But do you know, I'm not sure that with wildlife gardening it is. My anxiety level over these wretched robins is through the roof. But it's good news, and if you stay watching the video, you'll see what happened. So just to explain, this is the channel where I'm sharing how I'm wilding my garden. So making it wilder and better for wildlife, not just to visit, but to come and live in. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, then please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And then maybe more people will get to see these videos and more people will be inspired to do the same thing. And then maybe we can do something to help reverse the awful decline in our nature and wildlife in this country. So if you're not familiar with the robin story in my garden, this is the fourth attempt that they've made to raise a family. The first attempt was in an old watering can that's on the wall, but it was very early in the year. And when the babies fledged, I just don't think there was enough cover. I found 2 dead the following morning. Maybe the other 2 got away. There were 4, but yeah, I don't know. I did see fledgling robins in the garden, so it could have been those. The second attempt was in a pot, in the pot store, the other side of the potting shed. And for some reason, they hatched the eggs and then abandoned the nest. So there was just a nest full of little dead babies. The third attempt didn't really get off the ground at all. They built a nest, but I don't think they were serious about nesting in it. That was in a robin box behind the potting shed. Anyway, this is the fourth one, which is in a very posh robin box that cost a lot of money, behind the polytunnel, behind an old winter honeysuckle. So the adults were sitting on eggs for what seemed like an awful long time, but then they hatched and they were feeding them and the babies grew. But it was quite nail-biting, worrying what was going to happen to these babies given my previous history. And then I went away last week, and to be honest, I was really hoping that they would fledge while I was away and I wouldn't know what had happened to them. But when I got back, there were still 4 little faces peering at me out of the robin box. And then the day after I got back, I knew there was something up first thing in the morning because I could hear the robins doing this sort of ticking noise that they do and this little sort of bobby dance that they do, which seems like a bit of an alarm call, really. They usually do it when there's a magpie around or a crow or a predator or something like that. Or even if I'm just too near the nest, they'll tick at me. And so I set the trail cam up. The footage isn't very good at all because it's a very basic trail cam and I don't have any technology. I just sort of point it and hope for the best. But you can see that I hope that the adults are sort of flying backwards and forwards into the nest and back out again. And they don't seem to be feeding the babies at all. And it just looks like they're trying to encourage them to come out. And then I hope you can see that the babies are sort of fluttering around in the nest. And at the end of this sequence, they're almost sort of teetering on the edge of the box. So I moved the trail cam slightly, and amazingly, I got this little bit of footage of them fluttering through the winter honeysuckle, which is just outside the nesting box. So it does look like they got away. So 4th time lucky, and I am just so pleased about this. There's one vacated robin box. With a very cute little nest. And quite a bit of mess left behind, I do have to say. I think it was quite well situated, really, because it's behind this big winter honeysuckle, which has kept it pretty hidden from view from predators and behind the polytunnel. And yet lots of branches for the little ones to scramble out onto, because that's where they went. They went along the hedge there, along through the bushes, along the fence. So lots of hiding places for baby robins, and I think they did stay around here for quite a while, because I could hear sort of squeaking that sounded like it could have been baby robins, and I could hear the adult ticking at me every time I came out of the polytunnel. But they've gone now, and so I can get on with making my compost heaps and bringing them to this area here. And here's the wood to make the compost bins, still sitting here. So I'm going to have a go at making those, and I'll let you know how I get on. Okay, so now I've realised I'm going to have to build it in situ. And I've also realised why it was so expensive, because it certainly isn't pallet wood. It's very heavy. And the question is, will I be able to get 3 bins across there? Or will they have to go long ways? Because there isn't anything of consequence there. It's just an old hydrangea that's been there since before we came. There is a little yew tree there, but I think I can get it in without damaging that. And of course, a huge bramble. Well, I was wondering, do I cut the bramble or do I not cut the bramble? Well, this has, of course, decided me that I do cut the bramble. But then something has been eating this bramble. I usually assume when I see holes in leaves that it's slugs. But I'm not so sure. But then underneath there are these little things, which I thought were seeds, but now I'm wondering. Oh, it's gone out of focus, sorry. I'm wondering if they're eggs. So, if anybody's any idea, could you let me know in the comments? But obviously the first thing I need to do is to move this old cold frame filled with compost, and then at least I've got some space to make the bins. The old cold frame has gone, and I have a large pile of compost. There was still the weed suppressant membrane under the cold frame, which made it relatively easy to sort of pull up and pile up. But yeah, rather a lot of compost. But I do have space to put up at least a couple of the bins and decide which way I'm going to put them. And of course, once I've got one up, I can fill it with compost, and then I've got more room to put another one up. At least that's the plan. I've decided to put them lengthways, and I've done 2 so far. But I'm going to stop for the day and carry on tomorrow. There's plenty of room in front of them, so room for me to shovel compost in and out, so there won't be the same problems that I've had with the plastic compost bin. And it means that this little area over here can stay as it is. And basically, for now at least, the bramble can stay. I've sort of tucked it up over there behind an old clematis stem. This was a lovely clematis montana, a lovely pink Elizabeth, that just died on me. And I thought, well, shall I try and untangle all the stems from the rose and the honeysuckle? And I thought, well, no, because it's all habitat. So I've just left it there. What on earth are all those sparrows doing on the greenhouse? Can you guess? Ants swarming. And they're all around the inside of the greenhouse. All up there. And the sparrows just having a lovely feast. They keep pecking the glass. I don't think they've quite realised that the ants that they can see are the other side of the glass. And what they're doing is they're waiting for them to come out of the window or through the cracks where the glass has slipped, and then they're collecting them up. But some of them have actually gone inside and they're collecting them up from in there. Well, I went in and had my tea, and I've just come out to check what's going on, and the ants have gone and the sparrows have gone. There was just one come to see if there are any left. There's a few ants running about on the floor, but the greenhouse has been picked clean. So that was yesterday, and this is today, and there are now 3 compost bins all in a row. And I've started transferring some of the compost that was in the old cold frame. So that one has compost that's composted for the longest. That one has compost that's not been composting for quite so long. And this one has new compost. So there's a bit of a system going on. The new compost stays there until it's composted and reduced in volume, and after a while it goes over into there and it stays a little bit longer, composts a bit more and reduces in volume a little bit more, and then it goes over into that one, and each time it gets mixed up and aerated, and then it stays in this one until it's ready to go out onto the ground. So all I've got to do is put all that into the compost bins, and all that came out of the plastic compost bin, and all that in the wheelbarrow that's been sitting for several weeks in there because I didn't have anywhere else to put it. That's going in the compost bins too. But that's for another day, I think. So I'm just going to sit here. This is one of my favourite seats in the garden. It's just tucked away by the side of the potting shed. So I'm just going to sit here and see what I can see. And I hope to see you in the next video. So thanks for visiting me in my wild Welsh garden. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hwyl am y tro!